The president has indicted James Comey. Pretty remarkable moment. You've read the report. Does he have a case here? Let's just start with that.
Absolutely not. There is no case. That's the problem with this whole case. The only evidence that they have, it all comes out of a leak that Andrew McCabe made to the Wall Street Journal, which initially, when it was investigated by the Inspector General for the Department of Justice, he said that Comey knew. Then he said he didn't know. Finally, he said he didn't know. It went back and forth. There is no way that this individual is going to make a credible witness against Comey. In fact, I would be shocked if he would even testify in this case, because if I were him, I would be taking the Fifth Amendment because Trump is not too happy with McCabe. So I think either way you cut it, any prosecutor worth his salt has to decide whether or not he can get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt. Here, there just is no there. There's no way they could convict anybody here. And unfortunately, Donald Trump brought in an insurance lawyer to take care of this, while everybody else in that office basically said there was no case there.
Well, you know, we heard from James Comey pretty shortly after the indictment dropped yesterday. He got on social media, put a video on Instagram. Let's give our listeners and viewers a sense of his reaction. We'll have you respond.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
So let's have a trial, Nick Ackerman. Can a case go to trial without a prosecuting attorney? If it does, do you think that the case gets thrown out?
Well, I think the case will get thrown out at some point. I think that's a good question. Who is going to prosecute this case? The only person who even signed off on that indictment is Lindsay Halligan, who has never appeared before a grand jury in her life. She's an insurance lawyer. I mean, she should know about risk, because the risk to her here is enormous. She could wind up in the same position as Rudy Giuliani in the prosecutor's hall of shame and be basically her license lifted and be disbarred. I mean, there's real risk to lawyers who take on this case. And it's obvious it was so unusual to have the U.S. attorney actually sign the indictment as opposed to one of the assistant U.S. attorneys. That never happens. Never. And the idea that this person never presented a case to a grand jury before, I would love to see the transcript of that particular presentation. I don't even know how she would know how to do it. So, yeah, there's real questions about whether or not they can actually get somebody to go into court on this. I mean, the risk to that person is going to be enormous.
Nick, there's a larger picture here for the rule of law in the United States. If the president has publicly posted on Truth Social for his attorney general to chase down and indict his enemies, is that the smoking gun that any such case would be politically motivated?
Well, sure, it'd be a smoking gun if you could prosecute on that kind of a case. The problem is now Trump has immunity for anything he does in terms of directing members of the executive branch to go after anybody or to do anything. This all stems back to last summer's decision by the Supreme Court. If this had been Watergate, you wouldn't be able to even investigate Richard Nixon. The smoking gun tape that came up at the end that led to his resignation, where he directed his chief of staff to call the CIA, to have CIA officials direct the FBI, that couldn't happen now. It'd be immune, absolutely immune.